Okay, so now that we are acquainted with logical operators and how they can be identified in natural language propositions, we now need to think about how each of the four logical operators behaves according to what we call truth definitions. You can think of them as rules, right? And whenever we have one of these logical operators present in a proposition, the operator itself is going to determine when, in what cases, the sentence is true or false. Okay, so we need to think about this, and it's going to be very important for truth tables when we begin those. Okay, so starting with negation. Okay, negation is pretty easy as a logical operator. And it's easy because all we're doing is we are negating the truth value, whatever the truth value is of a proposition. Okay, so take this natural language proposition here that contains the negation here. Okay, it is not the case that Paul won the lotto. Okay, so here we have our simple proposition, Paul won the lotto, and we're negating that. We're saying it's not the case. Okay, now there's only going to be two circumstances when a proposition is going to be affected by negation. Okay, and that's pretty simple. If we have a simple proposition like Paul won the lotto, that could be true or false. So whenever we have negation, it just overturns these truth values. Okay, so if it's true that Paul won the lotto and we're negating it, right, that would be false. Right? If it's false that Paul won the lottery and we're negating it, it is not the case that Paul did not win the lottery. Okay, well, according to negation, we are just overturning that truth value. Okay, so pretty simple how negation works. Okay, now for the latter three of our operators here, they can be a little more complex in how they work, but I think it's pretty straightforward enough if we get the rule down, the definition down. Okay, now let's look at conjunction here. Okay, so recall that conjunction, it expresses a both and relationship among the simple propositions in the sentence. Okay, so both Paul won the lottery and Quinn won the lottery. Okay, now thinking about the natural language sentence there, what we need to think is when would this sentence be true and when would it be false? Okay, now the very nature of conjunction is an expression of something like both have to be the case in order for the whole sentence to be true. Okay, so looking at the truth definition for conjunction, if it's the case that Paul won the lottery and Quinn won the lottery, that would be a true sentence, okay, just given how conjunctions work. Now, if it was true that Paul won the lottery but Quinn did not, that would be a false conjunction. Similarly, if it's false that Paul won the lottery, yet Quinn did, this would not be a true sentence. So that would be false. Okay, and finally, if it is false that Paul won the lottery and it's false that Quinn won the lottery, that too would be a false sentence given what is expressed here. Okay, so something to keep in mind with conjunction, just looking at the truth definition, there's only one circumstance when a conjunction is true, when both parts of the conjunction are true here. Otherwise, the conjunction is false every time. Okay? Now, looking at our disjunction here, the cousin of the conjunction, but an expression of a different logical relationship among the parts of the sentence. Here we have our either or. Okay? So there that indicates it is a disjunction. Now, the thing about disjunctions is they're a little more flexible in terms of their truth and falsity than the conjunction. Conjunction is only true here. Now, disjunctions, they express in either one or, said differently, at least one part of the sentence is true in order for the entire sentence to be true. Okay? So for this disjunction, either Paul or Quinn won the lottery. If they both win the lottery, we would say, yeah, that's a true sentence, right? Because all that's being expressed is one of them has to win the lottery for the sentence to be true. Now, if Paul wins the lottery, yet Quinn doesn't, it's still true, right? Given that at least one part of the sentence is true. Similarly, if Paul does not win the lottery, yet Quinn does, at least one of the disjuncts in the sentence, right? One part of the disjunction is true. Okay, now there's only one case when a disjunction is false, okay? And it's the last case here. If it's false that Paul won the lottery and it's false that Quinn won the lottery, then that sentence can't be true, given that at least one part of the disjunction has to be true, okay? So relating these two in the center here, the conjunction and the disjunction, right? You'll notice that they're quite different in terms of the truth values, okay? Conjunction, true in one case, disjunction, true in 3 cases, false in only one. Okay, so it's really important to keep those two separated from one another and not confuse the truth definitions. Conditionals, the fourth and final logical operator here. Now, of the logical operators, the conditional, the if-then proposition, is the trickiest. But I think that this example shows us in a really nice way how conditionals work and how to determine when a conditional is true or false. Right? So take the example. If Paul wins the lotto, then he will give Quinn $10,000. Okay, so imagine that Paul has made this promise to Quinn. Right? Now, thinking in terms of this conditional that expresses a promise, right? What you need to ask yourself is, when does Paul keep his promise, right, to Quinn? Okay, now, if it's true that Paul wins the lotto and he gives Quinn $10,000, he's kept his promise. So the conditional there is true. Okay, now let's imagine that Paul wins the lotto, that's true, yet the second half of the conditional is false, right? He wins the lotto, yet he does not give Quinn $10,000. He breaks his promise, okay? So if that were the case, this sentence would be false, right? Broken promise. Third possibility here. Let's imagine that Paul does not win the lotto, okay? So that's false. Yet it's true that he gives Quinn $10,000. He's just a nice person. Has he broken his promise? No, he is not. Okay, so that is a true sentence. Finally, let's imagine that Paul does not win the lotto, as probability predicts, and it's also false that he gives Quinn $10,000. Has Paul broken his promise? No. He can only break the promise if it's true that he wins the lotto and he doesn't give Quinn the $10,000 as promised. So that's actually a true sentence. It's a true proposition, right? Because the condition here has not been violated. And this is where conditionals are perhaps the trickiest of the logical operators. There are certain requirements that are being expressed, logically at least, between the parts of the conditional. Okay, and as we will see, the antecedent, the part captured by the if in the conditional, right? If that's true, the consequent, the part captured by the then, has to be true. Okay, and this is going to be really important for our understanding of the various argument forms that are coming up: modus ponens, modus tollens, and the like. Right? It all comes down to how each of these operate according to their truth definitions, and for modus ponens and modus tollens specifically, how conditionals work. Okay, so it's very important that we all get a really firm understanding of each of the truth definitions and identify them, when they are within a broader argument. Okay.